What's up, guys? This is Rob from Ungeek, and I am with
Colin from Ungeek. What's up? This
Hi
is so
again.
weird.
So-
This is a very weird video, by the way. It's like a virtual virtual studio.
It's the pandemic,
It's the
so
pandemic,
because
yeah.
of pandemic situations, and of course, it's our effort to, bring the news faster to you. Since at the moment of recording, the PlayStation 5 briefing just ended. Now, it was
true.
a lot of people were looking forward to it. And the thing is, after watching it, this is the thing, it wasn't exactly what a lot of people were expecting. I mean, some people were already expecting that, yes, it's a tech briefing. And everyone knew
Yeah.
that. However, I think people were expecting more consumer news.
Okay,
And
yeah.
the thing is, because of course that's what matters to a lot of the people. Majority of the people are indeed consumers. So let's start off with what that briefing was and what it wasn't. So first of all, it was a briefing for game devs.
Yes.
For, other people in the industry.
That's true.
And enthusiasts and, media like us.
Yeah. No, I mean, particularly that talk was supposed to be for the GDC. It was really specifically
Right.
created for the Game Developers Conference, which was,
Which they canceled the first talk, yeah.
yeah, because of the pandemic. I mean, they made it a virtual event, so hence we have this.
So it was technobabble after technobabble after technobabble.
Yes, it was.
But if you were listening, there were certain points there that he would mention in passing, which were like, wait, that's important. So we
that's
took
true.
those points and we wanted to finalize it for you and basically just make this more understandable for the consumers who are also waiting to game on the PlayStation 5. So let's start down with a rundown of what is relevant to the consumer. You'll see me looking at my notes because of course we're trying to do this as quickly as possible.
Yep.
So yeah, first off, at least it's finally official, Colin.
Yeah.
Backwards compatibility has been confirmed.
Yes.
They did mention it.
Yes.
And I don't think they mentioned though how far it would go back. I think
Yeah.
I mean it was
Yeah.
mentioned that PS4 stuff would be playable.
Yes.
Or at least it was they mentioned not sure if it's gonna go as far back as like PS1 days. But,
No, I'm not entirely sure if that's currently capable because the guy, forgot his name, Senri, there we go, Senri, mentioned that, making these things backward compatible, there was a couple of challenges. Obviously, because, it's a new hardware and it's new tech and all of that. It's easier to do backward compatibilities on the newer titles, example, PS4 titles, because they have more or less that in mind as well. I mean, we've seen PS3 titles come out on, or at least remastered, for the PS4 and all of that. But going back to maybe PS1 titles,
Yeah.
I mean, we have the remastered for
probably
that anyway.
not.
So
we don't know exactly, yeah.
right.
But at least it's somehow backwards compatible, yeah.
That's true. And what's really interesting was that what he said is, upon launch, he more or less assumed that there will be 100 PS4 titles ready to be played. So there's always that.
Yeah. At least you now have those titles that are playable. That's good news for people who plan to be early adopters. We'll get to
Yeah.
that more later
Yeah.
because there are certain things about that.
There's like a
But
ton
yeah,
to unpack.
first of all,
Yeah.
right. So backwards compatibility, that's great. The next thing that they actually focused on was the fact that it would have an SSD.
Yes.
And that was a big game changer. They went into a really, really long tangent about this.
Yeah.
But the thing with an SSD is that now game devs won't have to deal with load times. Now,
Yeah.
not a lot of people in the consumer side know this, but game devs actually go through a lot of difficulty,
Yep.
a lot of effort to hide load times.
Yeah.
Whether it's a long elevator ride, a long staircase,
Yeah.
a winding path on the road, just to
Yeah.
properly load up textures to the next area.
That's true.
Now, the thing is, SSDs will be able to really lessen that.
They can basically cut through all the clutter already at that. And, as you mentioned already, the developers try to go around these hurdles of load time. We've seen it in a lot of games. We've seen it in like Spider-Man, for example, when he does like fast travel, and then you would see like the subway scene. And or if this is one of more classic ones, if you've ever played Castlevania Symphony of the Night, every tunnel he would go through, that is a load sequence.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Every corridor he would go through, that's a load sequence right there. So imagine the possibility of not going through that.
We won't go into heavy numbers, but the one number that you do want to hear about this is the fact that a gig of data for the PS5 was forecasted to only have a load time of 0.27 seconds.
Yeah.
Compared to the PS4 before, a gig of data would have a 20-second load time. I think that's what
Something
he
like that.
mentioned.
Yeah.
That's a kind of speed. Now, fast travel becomes literally fast travel, and they said now instead of hiding load times, they might have
To slow
the
it
game
down.
devs might now exactly might have to slow it down now. So that's one of the game changers in this announcement.
Right.
Now there was a thing also that they were going about. Once again, it was a long tangent, but it was about revolution versus evolution of gaming consoles. Like, a gaming console would always take some time, to like put in new features and of course, try to improve the quality of gameplay. But the thing is, the more new features that sometimes they add, the more he had a term for it, but I'll call it like an adoption period for game devs. That it would take them some time to make this. Now the thing is with this, the PS4 supposedly had a 1 to 2 month
1 to 2 months,
amount of time of getting used to it. For the PS5, it was basically just forecasted as less than a month.
Yeah.
So now, honestly, personally, I usually believe in not buying a console immediately.
On day one, right?
At the very least, it's first iteration, because first of all, there are very, very few games come out first, and then you might have like that one big title. But aside from that, you also have basically, it becomes a PS Slim, it becomes a PS Pro. There are always like better iterations, and usually they answer heat. Here's the thing with this. We'll address the heat thing later, and they did mention that, but at least with the games and with the lessened heat stuff that they talked about, now it might be feasible and recommendable to actually get a PS5 as a day one purchase.
Well, that's true. I mean, as far as the theory is concerned, or what's on paper, or at least what they presented, we still have to see how it actually runs on a practical level, right? I mean, game demos and all of that thing. So yeah, but I mean, as far as the technicalities is concerned, they sort of addressed a lot of the issues that a lot of people have, been raising out. So yeah, I mean, heat is obviously one of the major factors, particularly in a AAA game title. Of course, the more things you have to load, the more the more processes that needs to be done, the more heat it actually dissipates or creates. Sorry.
He gave God of War as an example.
Yes, he gave God of War as an example on his PS4 Pro, right? So there's always that. In terms of looking for ways to reduce that, they're really looking into how to go about it.
Now the thing is, there was patches are supposed to go through really smoother.
Yeah, I mean, this one for the SSD particularly, right? What they actually said is that every time there's a patch that happens, while the download the patch might be fast. When it comes to installation, it actually has to reinstall or re-put the patch to everything and create a new file. That's with the old system, the PS4. But with an SSD, you don't necessarily have to do that. So there will be patches. There's some misconception that people are saying, oh, there's no more patches. No. There's going to be patches, but you may not feel the load time of waiting for hours on end just to to install it again.
And at the very least, that little delay when things are just patched, and sometimes it was mentioned that they're aware. Sometimes a game gets really bonked up after it's been patched multiple times just because of things like that. So the PS5 supposedly addresses that. Now, not only that, they did mention that the PS5 would have expandable memory.
Yeah, if you're not satisfied with the current memory that they have, I think they gave a number of 825 gigabytes. So that's kind of an interesting, I guess, number for me, because usually it's like, it's 500 gigabytes or 1 terabyte. You choose between the two, right? And this is like 825? What is this number? What's happening here? But it is a proprietary SSD, so that's very important. They did mention that they are opening it up for expandable memory if you want. They're opening it up to NVMe M.2 SSD, so these are the smaller packets. We've seen this in some of Seagate's products. So Seagate's SSD, they actually have an M.2 packets for that. I'm not entirely sure if that's part of the third-party peripherals that they will recommend. So they're testing a lot, they're doing a lot of benchmarks. Hopefully we'll get an answer from them.
So the next thing is that yes, there will be GPU upgrades. Of course, graphics need to evolve with the next gen of consoles. Now the thing is, I'm not gonna get into too much detail with this, but what they were saying was that with the PS5, it's giving a lot of freedom to the devs in terms of like they're going to put the option for ray tracing, other kinds of like visual expansions, and even I think audio modes. And the thing is, it's available. They don't have to use it, but it now gives them the option to do so. He did mention, the speaker did mention that he already saw a game that was using full-on ray tracing for a number of things, and it was really impressive. It looked very nice.
Yeah.
And
I'm actually curious what game that is, right?
yeah,
So-
exactly. I'm super curious. That's why the thing with this is that now you are mostly expecting a new level of dev freedom with this. What I got from it was that the PlayStation was unlocking a lot of potentials. Now, game devs don't have to like struggle through limitations. And you know, to us, the consumers, we usually kind of not see that since that's their realm. But it is a huge part of the dev time. So maybe this means that better games come out faster. Maybe this means that more new features come out in games, more creative ideas get explored, and that's super good.
Well, that's true.
The next thing that they put there was a concentration on audio. Now, I mean, I
Yes.
wasn't going through a lot of the details, but yeah, Colin, go ahead. I mean, what did you hear about the audio stuff?
Well, they did mention a proprietary 3D audio technology. They're calling it the Tempest. So it is basically saying is that they saw that a lot of computing is actually being done by the audio itself. And the PS4, the current gen, doesn't really have or doesn't really focuses as much, I guess. And they wanted to do something special. They're talking about, the dream thing. And one of the more interesting things that they found during in this, iteration of the console, which is the PS4, is the PSVR. In the PSVR, of course, you do have 3D audio there. That's, part and parcel of the whole immersion experience. And they wanted to bring that technology to the PS5, but not in a sense that it can only work on a headset, but how can it work on, let's say, your TV screens, your monitors, and if you have a home theater, if you have a panel. So these things they are taking into consideration a lot. According to them, they actually have tested the 3D audio tech on headsets, and because admittedly that is the gold standard for 3D audio. That
It's
so if you
actually
want,
one of the more
Right?
accessible ones, yeah.
Exactly. And if you want full immersion, literally just like put a headset on. I mean, you will get it because of virtual the whole virtual
Virtual audio,
yeah, idea, right? But I guess the interesting part here is, for me at least, how this will translate if you have, like, say, a TV. They did show an idea. It's going to still be using virtual audio, but it's using now your speakers. For example, if you have like two speakers on a screen, one is left and one's right, it's really just finding a sweet spot so you can more or less enjoy that. But they're just tweaking a lot of things at this point. So again, nothing final, but 3D audio is going to be at the core of the PS5.
And that's the thing that opens a new level of game quality. Like, for example, you're aware of Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, which concentrated a lot on audio. Finally, maybe we're going to be getting a next gen of games that really comes, that really ups the audio game so much so that it doesn't become ignorable from the visual appeal.
Yeah. Or that also can open up game devs into how audio plays as a game feature. Example, if you have 3D audio at its core, like maybe there's a game that's going to push 3D audio in a sense that you need audio as a game mechanic. That 3D audio is really, you think of it as Daredevil, right?
Pretty much.
Right? It's pretty much that. I mean, like, I don't know, maybe they can make like Daredevil the game. I don't know if it's still a thing by then.
So now the thing that I did catch on was that they were still mentioning they're still aiming for that end year release. Now, which leads us to what wasn't discussed. There were two items that I was waiting for them to discuss, hopefully with this. Of course, the easy one was pricing. Everyone was looking out for that. But, it's actually reasonable that they don't say that yet because, I guess they're reserving that for a bigger announcement. But the one thing that I wanted to that I was hoping to hear was how this whole pandemic is affecting production delays. That's why I was surprised that they're still going for the end year release, because surely in terms of production of these consoles, there may
Yeah.
be delays because in terms of logistics, the closures, the quarantine areas, the lockdowns, these are going to affect production, and
That's
that's
right.
probably going to be a big thing. And
Yeah.
I hope they address that. Maybe they're super confident. Maybe they're way ahead of their production schedule to not really worry about it. But it was something that I hope they discussed.
I'm going to speculate on something about that. I have a feeling that it's not that they're confident about their production schedule. It could also be that they're cautious about it. That's why they haven't announced anything. So I mean, this is pretty much next gen console battle at this point. It's Xbox and PlayStation all over again. We'd have no idea in terms of Xbox, I guess, production schedule as well. They haven't, shown their hands yet. So I'm pretty sure Sony wants to keep everything, all their cards in their hands as well. So maybe they
Keep their
didn't.
options open.
Yeah, and maybe they didn't mention it because they don't want to maybe jump the gun yet. Maybe something will happen.
Show off a weakness of sorts.
Show off a weakness of sort. If ever they are going to be pushing the release date for this, they're probably going to announce it later in the year or maybe after E3 or something like that.
Well, yeah, so that wraps it up. That was a quick what you could have gotten as a consumer from the from the PS5 briefing. Like I said, if you want more details, guys, check out the briefing itself. I'm pretty sure it's on the PlayStation page now as a VOD.
Yes.
But yeah, for you guys who like I said, it's very tech heavy. So yeah,
Yep.
hopefully this helped you. Like as a consumer, what were the main takeaways from that PS briefing? That's it for us. Expect more news from the PS5 and for further game releases. Even during this pandemic, we'll try to deliver you more news and more content, especially that people are advised to stay home.
Yes,
More
please stay home. Wash your hands as well.
All right, so that's me, that's Rob, and this is Colin. And yeah, that's it. Till next time, boys and girls. Keep on gaming.
Keep on gaming.